The word of the day here in Calgary, Alberta, is extraordinary. The messenger behind the word is Pyle. Brett is all the way in from Greenville, South Carolina, and he is one of the most accomplished Vistage worldwide TEC Canada speakers there are out there, over 1,000 presentations, but everything can be boiled down, which I'm so fascinated by, is one word: extraordinary. Why are you so fascinated by that word?
Well, great question, Garen. I appreciate you very much. And I'll tell you what, you're going to throw it at me, I'm going to throw it right back at you. What's extraordinary is the reason we're even sitting here talking to each other. I had a hard time getting across the Canadian border not too long ago. And I posted some comments to other speakers that might be crossing
In a very
the border.
private forum.
Very private forum.
You didn't go public?
No, of course not. No, but just this small group saying, hey, make sure you have your paperwork in order, because right now crossing the border can be a little bit of a difficult thing. Yeah. Anyway, my friend Gare here, who I never knew, notices this and reaches out to me as a Canadian and says, listen, I want to apologize to you for the shabby treatment you apparently received at the border. Well, he touched me. He says, if you're ever in Calgary, come reach out to me. Well, I reached out to you, and in an extraordinary way, it just so happened that I was going to be in Calgary within 24 hours. And Garrett got together with me and said, listen, I want to buy you a meal. And the conversation that you and I have had over the past 3.5 hours is nothing short of extraordinary. So if you're going to throw it at me, I'm coming right back at you. I think extraordinary shows up when the things that we do in the world start flowing out of who we are at the core of our being. And this man cares about making an impact in the lives of other people. And that's extraordinary. And he does it with a complete stranger who 24 hours ago, he and I did not know each other. And we've just left a 3-hour dinner that I think touched us both at some levels neither one of us was expecting.
Well, we didn't know each other, but I knew of your work, your reputation. Thank you, Brett. Really, thank you for that. Your work, though, does precede you. You've been in this Vistage worldwide tech community for a long time. It's how would you describe it? It's
a community.
It's a community. So we've been on each other's radar.
By reputation.
By reputation.
But not like this until tonight, until you reached out.
But I've been tracking your work a little bit, and then knowing that we were going to meet, I started, okay, I'm going to look at your website. I'm going to take a deeper dive into your work.
Yeah.
And I've heard so many good things about you and the extraordinary presentations you deliver that somehow get right into the heart of what makes us tick as human beings. And I get fascinated by how did you develop that in the first place?
Well, I think it developed me. I think it came to me. Here's my belief. I think when we're being our true selves and operating out of our core, we're actually touching into something that was put into us maybe generations before we ever showed up on the scene. And if we do it well and we do it right and we deal with maybe some of the bad and the ugly that might have been part of what formed us, I think if we do that well and we honor the good, then all of a sudden we see so much of the good that came to us through our lineage. And sometimes that connects in a multi-generational through line, where the biggest things that are happening in the world sometimes don't happen through single lives, but they do happen through a lineage. And it is our life that connects the heritage that we received to the legacy that we're going to leave behind. And I think when we start finding that stuff, extraordinary stuff starts happening.
You know, that one word, lineage, it surfaced quite accidentally over dinner.
Through both of us.
Through both of us. And yet, I'm still sitting here wondering how many people are really studying the impact of lineage. I don't know that anyone's thought about it even the way you do.
Well, and I wasn't intentionally looking for it or seeking it. It showed up in my world in a pretty profound way, and that's a much longer story, what we won't go into now. But I will say that there is power, and when I speak to audiences about this idea, sometimes I see light bulbs, but more often than not, I see gears start turning, and there's a wondering, wow, how is that connected? And is the impact I'm having with my life here today, how will that impact generations out there? And then this was something I got from a First Nations tribe member who attended one of my programs in Eastern Canada a while back. Have we also taken the time to honor 5 and 6 generations back before us with intention, to honor that which was good, that was present there, that shows up in our life? That if we're doing this thing called life in a good way, maybe we're going to pass it on down the road.
So we want to be even more aware of how present day actions impact lineage, which extends, what'd you say, 5 to 7 generations one way and then 5 to 7 generations back.
Which is a number that blows most of our minds. I think you and I could probably both count maybe grandfather, great-grandfather.
Right.
Maybe we can go 3, but what would it look like if we knew a little bit more? And I'm pretty convinced that sites like Ancestry.com will eventually consist of a whole lot more video like this than it necessarily will just boring dates and statistics and all that stuff, which is interesting enough that it's created a huge following.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure now we're all walking around with these high-definition video cameras in our pocket. Yeah?
Right, and suddenly it just made me think that that's what the gentleman on PBS is doing.
Yes, love his work. So good.
Henry Gates.
Yes. And they do the research for people, and there's always the reveal moment.
It just hit me now that really seems to be maybe the
only other place
other place where you can look at the power of lineage and how it shapes future generations. And this is the work you're doing now with CEOs and their organizations.
Yeah, so much of it seems, of what we're up to is driven by this desire to honor something that was good and present for us back in our heritage. And sometimes even more powerfully than our desire to honor the good, sometimes there was something missing for us, and we're trying to heal from that. And either way, that's the deep work, I think, that connects us to our heritage, the heritage that spawned us, created us into the people that we are, and ultimately, as we embrace that, gives us the impact to impact future generations. And this is true whether or not you have kids.
His name is Brett Pyle, South Carolina. He's come on to Calgary here like a burst of South Carolina sunshine. The Extraordinary Why, I think, is the titling, but you were saying before we wrap up, don't confuse this with Simon Sinek and start with why.
I love Simon. Simon's got a great intellectual approach to finding your purpose or your why. And my belief is that your mind can't necessarily tell you your big why or your purpose, because your mind is the seat of your ego. And your ego just wants you to be separate from others and superior to others. And your purpose has nothing to do with you. It has to do with who you're going to serve. And so if we want to touch something like that, we have to dig deeper, beyond the mind, even beyond the emotions, and we have to get to kind of our source of our being, our spirit or our conscience, however we understand that. And when we tap into that, inevitably we get emotional, like you and I did over dinner several times, and then we let our intellect process those emotions.
Yeah, and I can attest after a riveting 3-hour dinner. He is not to be missed. How do people find you, Brett?
Oh, they can find me on my website, brettpyle.com. And I'm on Amazon. My book, Your Extraordinary Why, Living a Successful Life of Significance, that can be found too. But just reach out anytime. I'd love to talk to anybody who's interested in this conversation of lineage, of legacy, of meaning and purpose.
And really going deeper with Brett Pyle. He is out of Greenville, South Carolina. We're honored to have him here in Canada. Sorry about the issue at the border.
No apology necessary. I'm sure I was more than half the problem.
And in these times, somehow we Canadians and Americans got to stick together. Never forget, you can't create a legend without a story, and you might be only one story away from creating your own legend.
Beautiful. Thank you, Gare.
Thank you.